Tell Chip, bring the cameras out. You ain't never seen my movie.
Man, ain't nothing else to watch on TV. I've been stuck in this house, man. It's time to take my medicine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Man, I don't take pills, no water.
Here,
Thank
you better
you.
drink it all too. Give me this.
Dad is getting on my nerves.
He's getting on my nerves too. With this bail, them pills, that water, everything.
Got something for that.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
TJ, go put your clothes on or something. Shoot.
So where we going?
Boy, don't worry about it. Just come on.
What are we doing here?
Just come on. Just come on.
Oh, man. Oh, man, I know where we at. I know where this at. But what I'm doing here?
So, I brought you here today because you've been in the house all these days, and I think you need to let off a little steam, you know? I think you got a lot to say. So, with that being said, I think you should do what you do best, you know? But before we do that, I need you to change into something better.
What's wrong with this?
No, sir. So, I will see you soon.
Guess it's showtime.
Are y'all ready for a good time? Are y'all ready for some laughs? I need y'all energy up now, and I need y'all on your feet. We're gonna do this, y'all. Again, welcome for 2025. My husband, Terrell
What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Man, I'm happy. I'm outside, y'all. Yes. I'm outside. How y'all doing? Man, I wanted to do this special, man, because from the looks of it, you know, I titled this thing Sick and Shedding. Yeah, because a lot of us sick. We don't even know. Mental sick. You don't believe mental illness is the real thing? Just look at the way America been raining the past 20 days. Yeah. But the thing is, I wanted to talk about this because this is something that we don't talk about in the black community. I wanted to talk about this because this is real important because women, y'all got it on lock. Y'all always at the doctor. You got to get the tops checked. You got to get the bottoms checked. You on birth control. You at the doctor for something. Men, not so much. Only time we really go to the doctor, let's be honest, if somebody burning, we about to get a new job, so we need a physical, or we walking into the light. That's the only time we go to the doctor. Man, you know, a lot of people just know what happened to me, but I'm here to tell y'all, I've been on the sick and shedding list for over 20 years, so this is a full circle moment for me tonight. It all started 20 years ago. That's how long I've been on sick and shedding. Ain't nobody know. Ain't no band come visit me. You know, you gotta pay a certain amount. ain't no bad come visit me. People forget about you and everything. But like I said, man, we need to go to the doctor because my check engine light came on and I was making all these type of excuses, y'all. Like one time, you know, way back in the day for the Saints who in here, I was hanging out with my friends, some of them in here. They still wear the same cologne. Yeah, made from the garden. Yeah, they got it on tonight. But we were into what you call higher learning. So we were in a higher learning. So what I would do was I was trying to get my life together. I just turned 21. So I was trying to get a job. So I was trying to clean my system out. And one of my friends told me, he said, well, you know, if you drink cranberry juice, it'll clean your system out. I started drinking cranberry juice, y'all. I was going to the bathroom, then I'm dehydrated. Going to the bathroom, then I'm dehydrated. I said, you know what? This cranberry juice really working. So then other stuff started going on. I started going blind. I couldn't see nothing but silhouettes. I'm walking down the street, rubbing people's wrists like I'm Ray Charles. Then it wasn't until I was sitting on my couch one day, I seen the back of Jesus' sandals. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go on into the doctor. I get to the doctor, y'all had to walking around for a month like this. I ain't go straight. I get to the doctor running my scans and all that. He say, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been tested for diabetes? I said, no, sir. What's that? He said, I believe it's what you people call the sugars. Yeah, he was white. But I couldn't even get mad, you know, because everything ain't about race. Sometimes some people just trying to meet you where you are. So it wasn't about race. Because as soon as he said the sugars, I knew exactly what he was talking about. So I said, no. He said, well, let us test you. So he tested me, pricked my finger. He said, my. He said, how'd you get here? I said, I caught the bus. He said, well, I got some good news, but I got some not so good news. I said, well, tell me the good news. He said, you ain't got to worry about catching the bus back home. I said, well, what's the bad news? He said, the ambulance waiting outside. I said, well, what happened between then and now? You know, y'all trying to get my money. That's what we think when we go to the doctor. Y'all just try to get a quick dollar. I said, let me see the machine. Y'all, my numbers was so high on the machine, it didn't even have no numbers on it. It just said hi. H.I., like it was speaking to me. I said, man, I got downstairs. They throw me in the back of the ambulance. I said, hold on, sir. Am I going to jail or y'all take me to the hospital? He said, we take you to the hospital. My next question, well, what hospital? Because if you from D.C., you know it's one hospital you do not want to go to. I mean, they're good HBCU, but the hospital ain't so good. I think all the rejects work at the hospital, and I mean, if you know then, you know. That's their term, that's what they say, you know. But the hospital, they don't know. He said, no, we take you to one of the good hospitals. I said, thank you, Lord. That's what good insurance do for you, right? So I get to the hospital. They run my numbers again. They say, sir, what's your name? I give them my name. What's your date of birth? How'd you get here? I said, somebody kidnapped me and threw me in the back of the van and dropped me off here. They say, we asking you this because your numbers are pretty high. And usually when somebody's numbers are 500, it causes your body to go into what they call a diabetic coma. I said, well, what's mine, about 400? They said, no, sir, your numbers is 1,300. I said, well, I'll just go home, drink a ginger ale, take a nap, and I'll be all right. They said, we don't even know how you walking around, sir. You supposed to be dead. I said, wow. She said, nah, I mean, you supposed to be dead. Why is it when a person say the same word twice? I understood the first dead. That's like somebody say, are you hungry? Yeah, I can eat. No, I mean, are you hungry? So she was like, well, you might as well get pretty comfortable because you're going to be here a few days. And the crazy thing is, that hospital I was talking about that I didn't want to go to, I didn't want to miss their homecoming. So I was stuck in another hospital doing their homecoming. So I say, you know what, I'm going to sit here. I said, you know what? I ain't calling nobody. I ain't telling nobody. Because past trauma has taught me, you got to be careful who you vent to. Because vents go into other rooms. So some people can't just wait to tell your business. And if you know my family, woo, moving on. So I said, you know what? I'm going to sit here. I ain't telling nobody nothing. Because at the time, I thought diabetes was an old person's disease because only people I knew who had diabetes was old people. So I was like, can I be 21 and have diabetes? So I'm sitting there. My grandmother give me a call. She said, hey, baby, how you doing? And I'm going to tell you something, women. As macho as all these men is in here, when we sick, we turn into the biggest babies. Yes, we can have a cold and we be like, yeah. So I'm in the hospital. Y'all know I went straight to baby mode. I said, Grandma. No, Grandma, you ain't gonna believe this. She said, well, what's going on, baby? I said, Grandma, they said I got the diabetes. She said, baby, I told you about sleeping around with them fast-tailed girls. You were supposed to wrap it up and wait till you get married. I said, no, Grandmama. I got the sugar. She said, boy, why you just say that? Don't nobody know what no diabetes is. She said, Grandmama always say something to try to make you feel better. She said, don't worry about it, baby. That just means that you're sweet. I started crying even more. No, Grandmama, I can't be sweet. Is this why I like to wear sequins? Is this why I dress so nice? Is this why I get manicures and pedicures? Because I'm sweet like my Uncle Harold? Uncle Harold was my aunt and my uncle. She said, no, baby, you got to relax. You got to chill. You got sugars of the blood. He had sugars in the tank. That's two different sugars. You just sweet, but he sweet. I said, oh, Lord. She said, matter of fact, baby, you got it twice as bad because on both sides of your family, they got the sugars. As soon as she said something, I thought about it. I said, you know what? She right. Because it brought me to a story, true story. Every year, we would go down Newport News to kick it with my family. I love hanging out with my cousins, but my uncle was one of the smoothest cats that you'll meet. He'd walk in a room, had that walk. All the Terrell men got that, well, except me. I get my walk from the other side of my family. I ain't got that smooth walk. But he'd walk in the room, the women just, I said, man, I want that walk. We down there one summer. He down there, he would put on these big feasts. He would cook for the whole family. This year, y'all, he outdid himself. They giving him all type of compliments like, oh, yeah, hail to the chef. Oh, you must have put your foot in this. You outdid yourself. So I'm down there working about my third plate, y'all. Because the food down south was a little better than it is up here in north, right? So I'm in there, I say, can you fix me a plate? He said, I live down south, but I ain't no slave. Fix your own plate. Said, yes, sir. So I'm in there fixing about my third plate. He walk in there. Hey, how you doing in school? Everything good? I ain't paying no attention. And I get to look and I said, something different. Something different about Uncle Sam. Looking, he asked, how you doing with the ladies? I'm 13. I'm playing G.I. Joe, man. I ain't messing with no ladies. But you know what I say? Hey, you know me, But while he talking to me, I'm still noticing something. I say, you know what it is? It's their walk. Oh, what happened to the smooth walk that had the ladies just, where the walk? He let me know by him having the sugars, they had cut one of his feet off. And while he telling me this, y'all, I'm digging in his world famous greens. I see that meat smoking around. I say, my father running there. He said, boy, what, you done burned your fool self? I said, no. He done cut his foot off and put it in these greens. My father said, you really did outdo yourself this year, huh? Man, speaking of feet, having diabetes, man, everything good for you is bad for you. Everything tastes good is bad. I don't ask people to pray for me because I don't want y'all to waste y'all prayers. Me walking past Krispy Kreme and the cinnamon bun place is like death for me. I be making life-changing decisions. You know, I be looking at my toes like, do I need 10? I don't wear flip-flops. I'm like, maybe I can roll with it. You know what I'm saying? I be making some decisions, y'all. Oh, and don't let them Girl Scouts be set up. They be out there like little drug dealers on the corners. I got them lemon. I got them chocolate. I got them s'mores. That's the purple box. Oh, that's the devil right there. Man, I be looking at them like I'm making a transaction. I'm like, hey, give me 3 boxes. Make it quick, make it quick. Man. Oh, man. So, even I started taking my medicine, right, y'all. I said, I got to do this, you know, I got to do this. But when I went back, they do something what they call A1C. Now, A1C, you can't cheat the A1C. You can cheat on a daily basis, but you can't cheat the A1C because it's going to tell you how your blood been doing over, you know, the past 3 months. You got to go every 3 months. So I go back to the doctor, and he say, Mr. Terrell, I think you should really take diabetes serious. It's no joke. Diabetes affects so many things. I'll be honest, y'all, I wasn't doing right when I got out of the hospital. I wasn't doing right up. I'm taking insulin with shots of Hennessy. I'm just messing all well. I'm hanging out with, yeah. I seen his face, so it brought back a bit. So, so, you know, I'm just doing wrong. You know, I'm just doing wrong. So the doctor said, hey, diabetes can affect so much. It can help you go, it can make you go blind. You could lose a limb. Or check this out, fellas. You could get ED. I said, wow. I'm sitting there. I said, Doc, so what you telling me is this disease gonna make me wear a helmet, drool at the mouth, and ride on the back of a short bus? He said, no, Mr. Terrell, that's special ED. He said, let me see how I can put this, you know, in regular terms. He said, you'll come up short. I said, no, man, I can't get the eggs because my brother Ed, he about 4'11". I can't afford the shrink. No, he like one of them little Webster guys, you know, one of them skin land, you know, one of them. I said, no. He said, no, you got to calm down. He said, ED, check this out, fellas. ED is when your stuff won't work or won't work at all. If any preachers in here, your rod won't stretch forth. That's biblical. You won't be able to bear good fruit or bad fruit. And while he telling me this, y'all, I said, wow. I'm sitting there, I said, Lord, take the leg now. Because I ain't trying to be walking around like that. And the nurse in there, she was so ghetto. She told me, oh, no, you don't want that. You don't want to be walking around with that slinky dinky. She started doing a little dance, the slinky dinky, slinky dinky, slinky. I said, get her out of here. This is ghetto. Get her out of here. Please get her out of here. But I couldn't get the song out my head, y'all. Because I ain't want to be walking around with that slinky dinky, slinky dinky, slinky dinky. So I said, what I got to do? I got to get this up off me. How can I control it? They said, if you lose weight, then you can control your diabetes a little better. So at the time, I was weighing about 260, y'all. See, every time I tell somebody I used to weigh 260, they be like, not you. Till I show them a picture and they be like, hey, I don't mean no disrespect. or I don't mean no harm. If anybody sentence start off with that, disrespect or harm is soon to follow. And they be like, ooh, you was the big boy. But had to lose that weight, y'all. So he told me lose 60 pounds. So I lost 120 pounds in 6 months. Yeah, I ain't want to be walking around with that slangy-dangy. But I'm here to tell y'all, man, I don't know how they do it in the white community because I'm proud to be a black man. But in the black community, you can't lose weight too fast around your people. Because when you put on weight, they say, you look healthy. But the moment you get to losing weight, one or two things. Either you on that stuff or you got that stuff. I mean, you be like, but what's that stuff? You know that stuff. Get out of here. But I know it's so hard. And people always ask me, they like, what's your regimen? How'd you do it? Man, that's amazing. That's an amazing story. How'd you do it? Man, I'm here to tell y'all tonight, I got an exercise for y'all. And I know now we celebrate what they call big back. The big back community, we just eating all type of stuff. But I'm here to tell y'all, I got an exercise for y'all. You ain't got to join no gym. You ain't got to get no weight loss surgery. You ain't even got to take Ozempic. All you got to do is follow this one rule. You can sit here right now, and if you start doing this, you will start burning calories right now. Don't believe me? Check this out. All you got to do is move your head from left to right. From left to right. From left to right. Y'all don't believe me? Everybody always think I'm making up stuff. I'm going to give y'all some examples, and I want y'all to exercise to get the blood flowing. I'm going to ask y'all some questions, and y'all exercise for me. Y'all want to go to all you can eat? You want to go to Krispy Kreme? Want to go out and get some beans? But see, everybody always think exercise is just about the physical, right? It's also good for your mental. It helps your mental out. Good exercise, and this same exercise work. Let your kids go home tonight, your kids. Mommy, Daddy, can I have? No. That family member always wants you to bail them out. Hey, cuz. Hey, brother. That pastor, you done gave all you gonna give. And he said, hey, I want to raise $1,000 more. Learn to use it at 20. No, it's gonna be your best option. Also, I was even taking my medicine how I was supposed to take it, y'all. But I ain't like taking that insulin. Cause something about taking that insulin and shooting yourself up with a needle made me feel like I was on the wire or from Baltimore. It just didn't sit right with me. But I had to do it, y'all. I had to do it, man. So, true story. I was out with my boys, Rat Pack. We all eating one night. We all eating because they like to eat. So we out eating, and I go in the bathroom, and I said, I got to take my medicine. So while I'm in the stall, y'all, I'm taking my medicine. So a pale-faced gentleman happened to be looking through the stall. Like, that's a little weird. But he must have ran and told security, because out of nowhere, I heard an old slavery voice. I ain't heard, this must be before Roots came out. He came in that bathroom, he said, all right now, boy. You got to come from up out of there doing them drugs. You got to take that to McDonald's. We don't do that in here. I said, sir, I'm not doing no drugs. I'm a diabetic. He said, you take your diabetic, take your reefer, take whatever you're going to take. You take it up the street, not up in here. I said, sir, I got the sugars. He said, boy, don't you let them folks worry you, man. You go ahead and take care of them babies. I said, man, don't nobody know the real name or nothing. It's like people walking around with hypertension, high blood pressure. Yeah, people like, what's that? It's high blood pressure. Got to learn the terminology of this stuff. But for years, I was like, you know what? I got this on lock. God built me. So God, you know, God made me strong. I can handle a little needle. But 2020 hit, y'all. And COVID hit. And that was a stressful time because I thought like everybody else, you know, COVID. So I thought COVID came from like the Asian folks, right? Because that's what they was telling us at first. So I thought it was God's way of paying them back for not giving us enough mumbo sauce and all that when we go in the curve. I said, you know what? Yeah, God gonna get you. But then the trajectory started changing. I don't even know if that's the right word because I went to DC public school, but it sounds like it started changing. So they were saying people with underlying conditions. I said, ooh, that's me. I was triple masked up, y'all. But the problem was not me. It was people who didn't want to wear their masks. And around this time, you know, people still like to talk. See, that's why I love my church. My church, the greatest church of all, because we still wear masks. The pandemic goes, we still wear masks. And let me tell you something. That mask saved your life. Because one of the pastors walked in with his side rib, right past his wife. She didn't even know who he was. I said, that mask is a miracle worker. These masks out here saving lives, man, I'm telling you. But somebody was talking to me, like I said, I had diabetes on lock. Somebody was talking to me, they ain't had a mask on. So after they finished talking to me, my vision got blurry. I said, oh, they got the COVID in my eye. I said, what's going on there? But somebody done spit the COVID in my eye, now I'm going blind. But what had happened was, I had type 2 diabetes, and my pancreas already wasn't producing enough insulin. So it caused it to just clunk all the way out over the years. So it caused my vision to go completely. That's crazy. Because here it is. I'm up here doing shows, and don't nobody even know. I can't even see them. And they thinking the light in my eye, no, I'm blind. I'm talking about like I got to get laser surgery. I'm getting needles in my eye. And, you know, I love my wife. And we always hold hands, but it was like she was like a CNI dog for me. Because if it wasn't for her, I'd have been tripping over everything. So, been getting the knees. I said, you know what? One thing I always realize, if God bring you to something, he gonna bring you through it. Yes, he will. So I said, that's always been in my mind. If you bring me to this, you can bring me through this. So I started getting the laser surgery. Thought things was good. I said, you know what? I done beat diabetes. I done beat the eye problem. But let me tell y'all something. I was listening to a preacher preach one time at a funeral I was at. And he said to the family, I want you to know that God will not put more on you than you can bear. You heard that before? That's one of the most misquoted things in the Bible. Because, you know what, that's why I told my aunt come here tonight, because I knew y'all was going to try to fact check me. And that's why my aunt here tonight to handle it. It ain't in the Bible. Where they usually really get this is from the scripture that says, God won't allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. Yeah. That ain't got nothing to do with you getting sick. Yeah. That ain't got nothing to do with you missing a loved one. Because I'm here to tell you, God will allow some stuff to get on you. Yes, but this is the amazing part about God. He'll take your burdens and make them lighter. You heard that before? Yes. Yeah. So I said, you know what? God, you gotta get me through this. Cause something happened to me last year. And everybody knew it. Cause they was commenting on my post and all that. Something happened to me. I could never prepare myself for this. I turned 40 years old. And there's something that they don't tell you. When you turn 40, that's when life really started to humble you. All that stuff you used to make fun of people when we was younger, 40 is when you realize what was going on. Y'all, I could used to just hop out of bed and go. Now I got to sit on the edge of the bed to get my day going. I'm like, whew. I used to could just run up the steps. Now I'm holding the rail. You know, have y'all ever been asleep and your knee just pop and you feel like somebody shot you? That age 40, I don't know what it is. At 12:01, my knee popped. I said, what just happened? On top of turning 40, y'all, some other stuff started happening. I was being ignorant. I was working all this overtime. You know, I was what they call chasing the bag. Gotta get that bag. Hey, let me tell y'all something. Sometimes chasing that bag may end you up in that box.
Yeah. Say so.
If you don't pay attention to what's going on, and I wasn't paying no attention. But my wife was. She paying attention to everything. My legs one day was swollen like tree trunks. Now I'm already skinny, but I got the big legs, right? I said, ooh, what's going on? So I tell her, they just swollen. That ain't swollen. She pressing on it. That's fluid. I'm like, fluid in my legs? Yup. And then, like, I was always tired. No matter what I'm doing, I'm tired. So she said, you need to go to the doctor. I don't know what you talking about. Then I used the bathroom. She looked in the toilet. It looked like somebody poured champagne on Mr. Bubble with black people in it. Dawn dish detergent in the water. You know, we ain't got no Mr. Bubble. Man, she was like, you need to go to the doctor. So I go to the doctor. I said, everything fine, everything good. I said, you don't know what you talking about. But then they sent me to a kidney doctor. So I go to the kidney doctor, to the specialist, and they tell me when they run my blood and everything, they say, Mr. Terrell, your kidneys are operating at 25%. I said, wow. I said, so what that mean? Men don't know nothing about health. He said, well, you can function off 25%, but the moment your kidneys go to 15%, we got to start you on emergency dialysis. Take these pills and, come back in a few weeks. So I go take the pills. My wife said, well, what did the doctor say? Everything all right. He just put me on some pills. She said, okay. I go back the following month, y'all. Mr. Terrell, your kidneys are functioning at 17%. This is an amazing drop. Me thinking in my head, well, you told me I'm good till I get to 15%. This how I was thinking. And I'm here to tell you, God look out for fools and babies, and I sure ain't no baby. So I said, you know what? I'm good. We go back. My wife go this time. She say, something ain't right. Something you ain't telling me. I said, well, he told me I'm good. You ain't got to go. She said, I'm taking off work. I said, all right, come on, go. I'm going to show you something. Thinking the pills working, right? I get up there, the doctor say, Mr. Terrell, I can't see you today. I said, but I got an appointment, and y'all done charged me $40 for this copay. Somebody going to see me. He said, Mr. Terrell, your kidneys are working at 10%. You got to leave now and go to the hospital. My wife looking at me. She's sitting in that chair like that. Yes. Like I had the cooties. And y'all, I have worked on my mouth in public, but not her. She 8 floors. And I'm going to tell you how I know it's 8 floors. Because each floor, she cussing me out even more. And I'm thinking that, I'm like, all right, well, she going to stop when people get on the elevator. She ain't stopping. So now I'm thinking about my wedding vows, like, well, what about forsake all others? You got these people holding out business. I don't care. I don't want. She giving it to me. So all I could think of, y'all, if she married now, she gonna be pissed when we get in the car. She might as well put a cape on, because she about to be Superman. We get to the car. She say, what hospital you want to go to? I look her in the face. I ain't going to the hospital. They told me I got 3 months, and I got shows for the next 2 weeks. I said, and plus, I already spent a deposit. So let me do these shows, and then I'll go to the hospital. Fellas, you always mad when your wife up there arguing with you or your girl going back and forth with you? That ain't the issue. If you having a conversation and she get mute in the middle of conversation, that's when you got a problem. Cause she done clocked out. I'm here to tell you, I'm here to help y'all too. She done clocked out. She was like, all right. I said in my mind, not out loud, I said, well, I guess I told her. She get to the house, she ain't saying nothing. She said, I'm going to bed. It's 5 o'clock in the daytime. Now, I knew she was married. Now, she a little older, but she ain't that old, but no 5 o'clock. She about 7 or 8, but not 5. She came and I'm just sitting on the couch. Yeah, I'm the man. I told her. She walk out, y'all, throw me the papers. I said, what's these papers? She said, is it right? I said, what? She said, is it right? I look at it as my life insurance papers. I said, yeah, it's right. She said, good night, and went in the room. I'm sitting on that couch like, I must have really pissed her off. But the crazy thing is, she went to those shows with me. She always, we travel everywhere together. So she went to the shows. And she's sitting up front. Y'all, I'm telling you, I am killing it. People laughing, they crying. Even lady dripped a little pee on herself. I'm killing it, y'all. She's sitting up front, on the front row, like this. And I don't know if she complimented me or insulted me, because she ain't laughing, but she yelling out stuff that I can hear. She like, you killing it. You dead funny. I said, you know what, she messing up my mojo. I gotta walk over on this side. Yeah, she was there, man. She was like, man, you had him dying laughing. I said, wow. I did the show, y'all. Dude write me the check. It was a good check. God is a good God. It was a good check. It held us down for a few months. Look at my wife. She said, make sure you sign the back of it. Sign it. She said, thank you, because I might have to bury me a fool. But it was enough to cover the funeral.
Say so.
So she said, you know what? I ain't waiting another night, because I don't want to wake up to a dead husband. We going to this hospital right now. I ain't waiting till tomorrow. We going right now. We go straight from the show. I ain't changed my clothes or nothing. When I got to the ER, y'all, it was a real circus going on in there. Somebody done burnt this clown up. He in there with little burn marks. These dudes was in there. You know, they was into a motorcycle accident doing tricks. And here I am, walking there with a sequence blaze on. She look at me, she say, the gang's all here, huh? They must have thought I was the ringleader. Told them what was going on. They good hospital again, you know. So they put me straight, they put me in emergency surgery, and they started me on dialysis. Now, the crazy thing is, I only known one person who was on dialysis ever, and that was my Aunt Roseanne. And I would see how it would drain her and make her tired. But I realized, no matter how tired Aunt Roseanne was, she still was gonna talk some junk. I said, you know what? Long as I can talk, I'm good. I'm good. Long as I can talk, I'm good. So they started me on dialysis. And dialysis, if you know anybody on dialysis, please check up on them, because this is one of the most mental, crazy things. Like, it's so depressing. I can't really explain it. It's so depressing. And you just sitting on there looking at the machine, and the machine is acting as your kidney. So you like, the only reason I'm alive is because of this machine. So you sitting on there, and I go to church all the time. I'm always listening in church. I always like to talk to the older, what they call saints. Some of them ain't, but they older, right? But they know what they talking about. So I would sing songs that got my grandmother through, that got my aunt through, got them people through. I would sing them songs. But the crazy part is, I would be on dialysis looking at their blood. The only songs I would sing was about blood. Every morning I started off with my favorite song, sitting on the thing. Don't listen to the tone, just listen to the words. So I'd be sitting on there, I'd be like, oof, here I'm going through this, because I had to find strength from somewhere. So I'm sitting on there, the blood that Jesus shed for me, way back on Calvary, the blood that gives you strength from day to day. It would never lose its power. Because when I'm in there, I'm listening to people yelling, and they tell me these stories about how they've been on dialysis forever and how they've been waiting on kidneys forever. I'm like, wow, is this gonna be me? So sitting in there, and you would hear yelling. So I start yelling. They weren't even sticking me wrong. I'm gonna be honest. I'm yelling. I'm yelling. The blood. The other people like, the blood still works. I'm talking about we having church in dialysis, y'all. I'm talking about, but the downfall was the doctors used to get mad at because you got to keep your heart rate a certain. Man, people heart rate going through the roof, and like you ain't got to be all from the same church to serve the same God. I will say that. Man, one time lady brought tambourine, and I said, oh, we really about to have church in dialysis? A tambourine? That's crazy work right there. But we was in there giving praise, because one thing I realized is that when you change your gratitude, your altitude change. So instead of looking at dialysis as a problem, I started telling God, thank you. Because you trust me enough to take me what you about to take me through, and you know that I'm going to be a testimony towards you. You can't have a test without a testimony. That's right. That's right. So, hey, everybody got to go through something. So that was I said, you know what? I'm going to go through it. And the moment my mindset changed, y'all, stuff started happening for me. Just like that. This ain't no Steven Spielberg I'm talking about. This real stuff. This God we talking about. I started getting a call. We want to call you in for consultation for a kidney transplant. Now, the way a kidney transplant works, either somebody in your family or your blood type got to give you, the kidney, or it come from somebody deceased. And we sitting there, we looking at the different videos of the people who donated kidneys. One person, my kid's teacher needed a kidney. So I just gave it to her because she's such a nice lady. Another dude, well, my man Buck, he like to fix my truck. So I figured, hey, let me do my part. Let me give him a kidney. It was a married couple. They didn't even know nobody. They just gave kidneys away, right? And I'm sitting there looking at this stuff, and I'm realizing, wow, these people are giving away kidneys, and then I realized, you know what? They all white. Had me think, I said, how many white friends do I have? Cause ain't nobody black gonna be giving away no kidney. It's like signing your soul over to the devil if somebody black give you a kidney, right? But I ain't gonna lie, I had a few of my partners, man, they was like, man, cause I wasn't telling everybody. I told my partners, they said, you know what, we ain't gonna have you go through this. First it was my wife, she said, you know what, we are one. And my kidney is your kidney. But we weren't the same blood type. We always joined together at the hip. But we ain't the same blood type, right? We are one. Yeah, especially like 8:15, we definitely. I'm 40, I ain't got all night. So my wife ruled her out. Then I told my partners. I said, hey, y'all, I'm going through this. I ain't want to tell y'all. They said, man, you our brother. So I took one of my boys with me. They said, hey, perfect news. Same blood type and everything. He was like, let's do it. They said, can we call you in the office for a minute, Mr. Terrell? I said, yes, sir. He said, we can do this kidney transplant, but if you take his kidneys, you gonna need new lungs. He got so much weed in his system. He got so much weed in his system, it's gonna cause your lungs to collapse. I said, no, man. So my wife come up with this grand scheme of things. She said, you know what? This is serious. I think you need to tell your family. Lord Jesus. Because, you know, everybody got that one person in their family. If you tell them, everybody know.
That's right.
I told my birth mother. She said, you should have came to me first, baby. And you know them people when something wrong with you, they kind of make it about them? One of them type, right? So she said, you don't have to say nothing. I'm going to give you my kidney. And I'm like, well, they said to get a kidney, the person can have diabetes. I got diabetes from you. That's where I got it from. She say, because I don't want to have to bury my child. I said, well, if anything, they had at Georgetown Hospital, which is one of the top hospitals, they got this thing, if the kidney don't work for you, they kind of trade it to find. So I was like, anything, I can trade it off. And so I was like, I'm going to trade it off, and you know, they going to hold me accountable. Y'all, I should have known something was up. She ain't even go get no blood work done, nothing. We had an on-the-phone consultation. She saying stuff, I said, She said, we got dialysis in our family. The doctor looked at me like, you sure you want to do this? I'm looking at him like, make something happen, man. But I'm always grateful for when people want to do stuff. You never know where your blessing come from. So I went over to her house to tell her thank you. You know, it's a good gesture. She already on the phone telling everybody. As soon as I walk in the door, well, you know, TJ here, he need a new kidney. And I'm gonna do what I got to do for my child. I got to save my child. People calling me from LA, you all right, brother? Well, what happened? We heard. Well, 5 minutes, you heard. So the doctor called me back and said, we got some great news. You don't need a living donor. I said, wow. And he said, this process actually works faster than waiting on the kidney list because it's thousands of people who die every day waiting on kidneys. And they never get it. So he's like, actually, what we're going to do for you is we going to expedite yours. We going to have it done by the end of the year. I said, well, won't he do it? Now, when God say he going to break some chains, he breaks all the chains and generational curses. Because I'm the only one in my family, I ain't got sugar right now. He said, not only do you qualify for kidneys, but you qualify for a new pancreas, so you won't even have sugar no more. I said, wow, Krispy Kreme, here I come. I couldn't wait, y'all. I couldn't wait. I just can't wait. Won't he do it? I'm telling you he'll do it. And he wasn't lying. Like 30 days after, I started getting the phone calls, y'all. I was getting a phone call first. They rushed me up to the hospital. You need to be here now. We rushed him to the hospital. You know, I ain't had myself together. I said, well, we got to go. Get up there. They say, it ain't going to happen today. I said, wow, okay. Well, couldn't be ungrateful because I done got a phone call. It's people been waiting on this list for years. I ain't even got a phone call. So that happened. Back on dialysis. Still doing shows. Got to make people laugh. Isn't it funny how you could be going through the most in life, but God can still use you to bring somebody else through? It's crazy, right? That's how it works. So people's like, oh, I needed to laugh. And I'm like, you needed to laugh? Whoa, if you knew what I was going through. So I kept pushing. 30 days later, guess what? Get another phone call. So this time was a little crazy because they said, hey, it's going down today. Yes. Y'all know what we do. We get to telling the blessing before it even happened. I'm all on Facebook. Hey, y'all, it's going down today. I'm calling my boss. I ain't coming in tomorrow. I'm getting some new kidneys tonight. I done told the whole world. Everybody like, speedy recovery, speedy recovery. And I admit, y'all was praying a little too hard. We want you to get out the hospital, speedy recovery. It happened. But the surgery ain't happened. I'm in there. They say, we want you to take off all your clothes. Put the gown on. It's going down. We want you to wait for transportation. And transportation going to take you up. So while I'm sitting there waiting, that's when I'm making my post. I'm calling my boy, hey, y'all, it's going down. About to be brand new. Get up there, sitting, waiting. Dude come push me. Riding up to the operating room, push me. He said, hey, sir, I'm so happy for you. Do you mind if I pray for you? I said, no, I don't mind. Wow. So he praying for me. They get me on the table, y'all. Laid out. The operator walking in. He look at me. I got the mask on my face. He look. He say, we gonna have to cancel this operation because I don't like the way the tail look. And I'm thinking, I know I shaved. I done shaved. I done put a little design down there. I done did my thing. Got a little landing strip going on. I'm all right. Y'all, getting off that table was the most embarrassing thing. It was like the walk of shame for me. I sort of felt like how y'all feel when y'all say y'all found the one. And y'all taking pictures. Oh, me and Bay. And 3 months later, all the pictures you and Bay gone. That's how I felt. So now, I got to go to explain to people. Because you know black people want an explanation. Well, what happened? You was just on the table. I know God worked fast, but come on now. I say, nah, they had to cancel it. And I was pissed, y'all. I was pissed. I was like, why would you? Come on, G. You gonna bring me through this? But guess what? I quickly got over it because I realized every 30 days I was getting a call. And then other people still haven't gotten a call. So I got my call. So I was like, you know what? Shake it off. 30 days I'll be getting another call. 30 days go by. No call. 37 days went by. No call. Another week go by. So I started getting petty in my sickness, y'all. I started getting impatient. Not being grateful no more. Start being impatient. I started doing stuff. I said, maybe they forgot about me. Maybe I got to find my own kidneys. I started doing stuff like looking at the news. Reading obituary in the Washington Post. I said, I live in D.C. Ain't nobody died. This is the murder capital. Ain't nobody died. And I got to sit by the phone, so I really can't go nowhere. So I'm seeing my friends in Jamaica. They all scuba diving and all that. And instead of me being happy for them, I'm leaving comments under their picture like, hey, what's your blood type? Okay, something happened. Help a friend out, you know. Then I was even getting petty in church. Preach up there preaching. Oh, I want you to turn to your neighbor and say, oh, the blood, we're covered by the blood. Turning there, we're covered by the blood. I said, say it again, we're covered by the blood. We covered by the blood. Say it. I said, hey, what you think Jesus' blood type was? I could use them kidneys right about that. Came up out of service, y'all, the next day, which was Columbus Day. They called me, they say, Mr. Terrell, don't rush. Come here Tuesday. Now, they called me about 12 o'clock that day. Come here Tuesday, and, you know, we found you a match. And I'm thinking, usually I got to rush in, you know, because the organs have so much time before they... I said, is it a party tonight? Do they know something I don't know? Somebody going down tonight. So I said, you know what? I'll be there. Get to the hospital the next morning, y'all. They say, hey, we ain't got no rooms. Everything full. I said, oh, they was partying last night. I said, well, they told me to come in here for kidney transplant. They was like, well, we'll get to you when we can. So I do the same thing. They take my blood work. They said, we want you to strip down in this gown. So I stripped down in the gown, but guess what this time? I ain't got no room. They got me sitting in the hallway. And then they put this little blue net on my head. I'm looking like Mr. Gaines off Different World. People walking past me. Which way is the cafe? I don't wash dishes, man. I'm in here waiting. So sitting there all day. Ty's like, you know, you need me to call anybody? I said, don't you tell nobody nothing until you see a cut. So the lady, she said, I'm pretty excited. Everything looks good. I said, how the tail looking? She said, everything looks perfect. So I said, cool. So we sit. She said, we're going to have you sit right here, and we're going to wait for transport. Sitting in the chair again. Waiting for transport. I'm pretty excited for you. Thank you, sir. Would you like for me to pray for you? You the one who pushed me up here last time, ain't you? See, y'all got to be careful when y'all asking people to pray for you, because they could P-R-A-Y for you or P-R-E-Y. I ain't know if he was trying to keep his job by keep pushing me every month. So I ain't know which prayer he was doing. I said, you know what? I'm going to go to God and pray for myself. I don't need your prayer. I'm going to go. And pray, like, I don't like when people say, you want me to pray for you? Prayer is just like help. If you genuinely want to do something, you don't have to ask nobody to do. Just do it. So he's like, you want me to pray? I got this on my own. I see how late. So they get me up there, y'all. Get me up there, put the mask on me. They say, we going to count to 3, and you ain't going to feel nothing. I look around, make sure there wasn't no baby oil and stuff around, right? Everything was looking good, right? So he said 1. 10.5 hours later, I woke up. Looking up, see beautiful clouds on the ceiling. Look down, see white, like I'm going to a toga party. Look up, hear some, relaxing music. I just look up to God, say, thank you, Lord. I made it into heaven. I heard an angelic voice say, You ain't in no heaven. You still down here with me. She said, boy, you tripping. And she wasn't lying. I was tripping. I was high. No, I was high off them meds. And the meds be having you a little delusional. I said something, she showed me some videotapes, because I didn't even remember when she told me I was saying it. I thought she was lying, I'm gonna be honest with you. She sent me some videotapes, right? I'm laid in the bed. She talking to me. I said, baby, you sure they did the right surgery? She said, yeah, what's wrong? I said, they ain't give me no extra, did they? She said, no, you got the pancreas. You know, she was irritated. You got the pancreas and you got the kidneys. You need to relax. I said, well, I think our insurance covers some extra. She was like, what you mean? I said, I can feel it hitting the bottom of my knee. I say, yeah. While I'm in here, somebody check my ancestry. I think I'm Mandingo. She said, boy, you ain't no Mandingo. That's a catheter. Telling you, man, I was high. I was high as giraffe knees. Matter of fact, for the older folks don't understand, I was high as Cootie Brown. Now, who Cootie Brown is, but I never knew. But he always in somebody's stuff. That boy high as Cootie Brown. I was that high. Before I go any further, I know this is about me, but I like to, in front of the whole world, give credit to my wife, man. I wouldn't probably be up here. Man, this woman, let me tell you something, man. This woman, it pays to have a good woman. It's been 9 years, 28 days, and 28 days. 1 month and 28 days. I get caught up when I think about my wife, so y'all gotta excuse me on that one. But cause she been having my back since day one, man. I'm talking about, and to have good health, you gotta have a good woman. Cause man, we don't know nothing about health. I'd have been dead. I ain't gonna lie to you. I may be in heaven, and I know y'all looking like, I know you lying. No, I'm gonna be in there. But if it wasn't for her, like, she was on it. She was noticing stuff. She been here, y'all, through the good, the bad. She was around for some of them slinky dinky nights. And she was acting like I was killing it. I was like, you doing too much. She was like, you the best. I said, you must ain't had nothing in the world. Because if this the best, woo, I feel sorry for you. But she was there, had my back. It's only one time I had to question her loyalty, and that's when we first got life insurance. And she was like, well, we never been to Miami. Well, let's go to Miami. Let's go to the beach. I can't swim. I'm drowning, y'all. She taking pictures, laughing. I said, you know what? Something ain't right. But like I said, she had my back, man, and I always honor her. And thank God that he put her in my life because, man, when we got married, you know, we gave each other gifts. I said, well, what my gift? Would you got me a truck? She was like, no, I put you on my health insurance.
Good gift.
I'm talking about teeth was messed up before I got some good insurance. Smiling now. Some of y'all can't smile now because you're missing side teeth. But she been holding me down, man. And in the hospital, she was handling things like a boss. Because I couldn't maneuver. They could have been doing anything. So she was making sure she was handling the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? She was up there when the nurse was checking around that catheter area. She was... She said, test the tube, not the skin. Test the tube. You got to relax, baby. Ain't nobody want this. That's what you think. I'm glad she think highly of me, even when I don't think highly of myself. But yeah, man. But as good as a wife she is, and she's been in healthcare, so she knows the ropes. I think she skipped a few classes, like the wiping part. Yeah, she was wiping me, y'all. You know how much you gotta love somebody to deal with their crap, literally. She was wiping me, but as skinny as she is, she's a little too heavy-handed. I be in the bathroom, I'm finished. She coming in. I said, too rough, too rough. She talking about you supposed to wipe till you don't see nothing. And you see this? You see this? I said, I don't see brown no more, but I see blood. Then she tried to get funny, y'all. She was like, all right, I'm gonna ease up since you complaining. Next day, I'm in there, I'm finished. She was like, bend over. She back there like this. You like that? You like? I said, wait a minute. We gotta wait a minute. Talking about all clean. I said, oh no, that's too much. Every day in that hospital though, y'all, it was some type of adventure going on. So the second day after surgery, they said, we don't want you to get stiff, your muscle get stiff, so we gotta get you walking around. Do you need a cane? I don't need no cane. Do you need a walker? No, I don't need no walker. We gonna walk you. Take my little steps. Take my steps. And as I'm walking through the hallway, they like this. I'm taking my step. I'm thinking they cheering me on, y'all. I realized I ain't had no drawers on. I'm walking down there twerking. I'm walking down there twerking. I was wondering why them dollars was on the floor. I'm like, well, maybe somebody dropped their wallet aside. And then making it clap. I said, wow. And they even. I said, let me get back to this room, cause I told them double roll me. I need one for the front and the back. But like I said, every day was an adventure, because after I finished doing that walk, the little chaplain came around, you know, to come pray for people. He come in there, y'all, pouring his oil on his hand, rubbing his hands, telling you need me to lay hands? Now, I don't know if y'all was watching the news back in October, but it was a situation where a man got caught up with a bunch of baby oil. So I ain't want to be around none oily. I was watching TV, they showed the old game of the Houston Oilers playing. I said, turn this off, I don't want to be around none. And then they say you're supposed to be able to get sleep. I couldn't even sleep in the hospital. Because that first night I do, you want me to lay hands? I ain't want to be like Jesus and come back like a thief in the night. My flesh was weak. I couldn't fight them off, you know what I'm saying? So the next day they say, well, we gonna move you because you making progress. You're using the bathroom, you walking without falling. We gonna move you along. We gonna move you to a regular room. You don't need to be in ICU. Go to a regular room. You don't need as much care as the other patients here. And they one line. When I tell you this room was real regular, it was regular. And I should have known when I walked into the unit, because where I come from, they was playing little, you know, relaxing music. I walk in, they doing TikTok challenges. I said, you know what? There's gonna be something. Then They playing Sexy Red over the loudspeaker and you need your medicine. I'm like, oh, it's too much. And the lady where I was at ICU, every hour, she come through there mopping. Every hour on the hour. Not down there. They said the sheets in the corner. I was like, buy a mousetrap? That's diabolical to have a mousetrap in the hospital. So I was like, you know what? It's one step me getting close out of here. But that night I couldn't sleep neither. Because I'm sleeping around 4 o'clock in the morning. The door squeak open. And I see these big eyes and big white teeth. And I hear a deep voice say, I'm here for the blood. I said, what? Said, I'm here for the blood. I said, excuse me, sir? Them lights flick on. I am not a son. I am a mom. I said, it's an African lady standing with a bone in her nose and all. I said, oh, Lord. I don't know how I'm going to do this with Nurse Fufu. She said, I'm here for the blood. I said, well, what the blow dart for? You supposed to have a needle. She said, they told me to get the blood by any means necessary. I got to think about all the history and stuff that I read. I said, man, they trying to take these kidneys back, man. I just got these kidneys. They trying to kill me. Call my wife up like old baby. I said, baby, they try to kill me. They try to get these kidneys. Now, it take us an hour and a half to get to the hospital. 20 minutes, she was there. I don't know what she said to the head nurse, but 30 minutes of her getting there, they were like, Mr. Terrell, we moving you from the Red Roof Inn back to the Ritz-Carlton. Next day, I said, you know what? I didn't want no preachers up here, so I got to have a preacher that I can trust, that I know won't get oily, right? So we called our family chaplain up there, which is my daughter. Yeah, my daughter, she likes to read the Bible and lead us in, Sunday school, what she learned in Sunday school. So she came up there and she was reading the scripture and my wife was singing songs of praise and I was sitting up there and I was just crying. I was just, you know that cry, you can't cry, get it together, and you trying to say, thank you, Lord, it's on you. That was me just crying. So after a good day of church, because in my family, we don't believe in just church by going to a certain building. We believe with 2 or 3 are gathered in my name. We can have church anywhere. That's just what we believe. Now, when you go to church, you're supposed to be around like-minded people to take it to another level. But I ain't passing no collection plate, so I ain't going in all that. That's a different service. But, so, the next day, they say, Mr. Terrell, there's nothing else we can do for you. I said, well, what you mean? The doctor told me I'm going to be in here at least from 12 to 14 days. This is only day 5. And then they just started feeding me. So I was like, maybe they don't want me to eat all their food. But so they start unplugging stuff, take the port out of my chest and all that. And we had to take a class. So the class teaches you, before they let you go, you got to learn how to take your medicines, what times to take your medicine, and you also got to learn the foods you can eat. Like for me, my first year, y'all, I can't eat no shellfish. I can't eat no medium well steak. I can't go to Golden Corral. Ooh, that one hurt. But them biscuits, ooh, not diabetic no more neither. Ooh, I need them. But I can't do none of that. So get me home the next day, I'm walking out of the hospital. I never felt no pain. Only thing that I know that I had a surgery was this C-section scar I got. The old one, ladies, not the bikini line. I don't know if they gave me heart surgery or what. It go all the way. I said, the kidneys down. Hey, what y'all doing on? But yeah, I was walking out of there skipping. And to the grace of God, I always say to the grace of God, you can't have a testimony without a test. So I've been tested, y'all. I've been tested. So I wanted to do my testimony originally in church, but they only give you 5 minutes. I really wanted to do this in church. I really did. But you only get 5 minutes. You better get it hot in 5 or get it going in 5. And God is too good for me to just give him 5 minutes. I've been through too much, so I want to tell my whole story. He ain't never shortchanged me, so I ain't going to shortchange him. And he saying that your gift will make room for you. So I said, you know what, let me take this. Let me sell it online. That's room. Got home, y'all. Got home. I was like a baby getting home. I had to walk up the steps. But I wasn't a baby because of the walking. I didn't trust the urine situation. I'm used to the catheter. I'm used to just going. Right? I told my wife, hey, I ain't no shame in my game. Buy me some Depends. I'm walking around the house like a big toddler. I'm already bald head. I'm walking around there pamper on like, because I ain't want to use it at the bed. Because that's an argument. And it ain't going to start no argument, but it'll get brought up. I can't say nothing wrong if I pee in the bed, y'all. My wife got slick. She be well, when you was peeing in the bed, I said, you know what, let me go ahead and be proactive. Let me go ahead and put the little pamper on. See, we got a petty merge, man. Like, hey, one time, like she like to fix omelets in the morning. One time I boiled all the eggs. She and they cracking away in the morning. Ain't nothing cut. Let me stop that because remember I was telling y'all about that face at them comedy shows? I'm starting to get it now. She like, keep it healthy. Keep it healthy. But yeah, I got home in 3 weeks. I was doing the most when I got home. I brought me a little bill. I need my pills. Not yet. Look, she was giving me my pills. This real stuff here. This ain't no comedy. This life. What time is it? I think. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna take a quick break. I gotta take these pills. I ain't never say nothing like this on no comedy special. Yeah, y'all laugh, y'all enjoy yourself. Everybody having a good time. You ain't gotta play no music. Hey, this is real health. Yeah. Y'all ain't never gonna see this on no comedy special. This the real. Thank you, sugar. Make sure I'm good. Yeah, that woman makes sure I'm good, man. Oh, thank God for her. I do. But even though I'm thanking God for her, 3 weeks of me being home, y'all, they was sick of me. I'm ringing that bell. She took the bell, hid it somewhere. I done brought an air horn. She said, you doing too much, because I couldn't go nowhere, y'all. I'm in the house. Y'all seen me on Facebook. I grew my hair out like George Jefferson. I said, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick. I'm playing this role all the way through. Getting dressed up. I'm wearing 3-piece suits going to the doctor. I got a hot pink suit on, walking into the doctor. They like, where you going? Get this blood taken. That's it. But the crazy thing is, 3 weeks of me being home, as much as they love me, they been fed up with me. And it all started on a Sunday. It started with the chaplain. Madison. Started with the chaplain. She read me a story in the Bible that talks about Jesus when he went to and there was a man sitting by the well. And Jesus asked the man, would you be made whole? if you want to be made whole, pick up your bed and walk. She said, you know what, Daddy? When Jesus asked the man did he want to be made whole, it wasn't that Jesus couldn't do it. It was because he couldn't use his handicapness, so he had to get up and work. You hear that, Daddy? Get up and work. My wife, that's a good word right there. I said, I'm getting on their nerves. And they left me in the house. I don't know where they went, but they was gone. Alone, me and the dog just sitting there looking at each other. Then later on, my wife come home. It's around 2 o'clock in the morning. She wake me up crying. And she was like, I had a bad dream. I said, wow. Did I die? She said, no, even worse. You cheated. I said, that's worse than dying? I said, well, calm down. Tell me about the dream. See, fellas, you got to stop getting upset when they come to you with something because you got to be able to comfort them as well. I knew where the idea came from. Her watching TikTok before she went to bed. Look at all them I hate men videos. Look at all that stuff, right? So I said, well, calm down. Tell me about the dream. She said, oh, my God. Fellas, you ever had your woman be mad at you because of a dream? And you like, this is so stupid. But I got to listen, right? She crying, oh, my God. You ain't going to believe this. Me, Mika, and Ebony, we was out. And we walk past this restaurant, and we see you just all in the restaurant, just skinning and grinning. You just skinning and grinning. With some old hubby. And she said, I'm so mad. I am so mad because I couldn't get in there. And I was like, she was like, but the dream was so vivid. It was so vivid. I could even see what you was eating. I said, well, what was I eating? She said, you had a T-bone steak and a lobster tail. I said, stop right there. You heard that doctor say. She said, the only reason why I'm mad at you because I couldn't get in the restaurant and kill you. I woke up. I said, well, Lord. Ever since that, y'all, she been sending me pictures of me sleep. And how crazy Gemini's is. I said, I got the point. I know what's going on. Look at that. I don't even know which Gemini. I know what person it came from, but I don't know which characteristic. Cause that's like me. What I need to cheat for? I'm married to a Gemini. I never know who I'm coming home to. I be peeking through the door. Is this a good day to come home? What y'all up to in there? She said, you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with you, because you still petty. As long as you petty, you going to be all right. I'm going back to work. I said, but you work from home. She said, I'm going into the office. I said, wow, I must really got on their nerves. Here it is. Daughter gone to school. Wife gone to work. I'm sitting in there by myself, me and the dog. Again. Get a knock on the door. Nobody know where I live. Knock even harder. Look out. Now, usually, I ignore when Jehovah's Witnesses come to my door. I'm sitting there, reflecting on everything I've been through, and I could use some encouragement. I ain't gonna lie, I could use some encouragement. So I'm sitting there in the hospital gown, just sitting there. I said, you know what? I could use some encouragement. So I opened the door. They said, are you ready for the truth? I said, yeah, come on in. And the door slammed. And I thought maybe they ain't used to making it past the door. So I was like, let me open it back up. I look out the door. They running all the way down the sidewalk. And I said, wow, maybe they ain't like the part of the Bible that say, turn the other cheek. I'm bringing it on in. So I sat back on the couch, y'all, thinking. I learned the most important, valuable lesson from them Jehovah's Witnesses. We got different faith, different beliefs, but you can always learn something from anybody. So I'm sitting there and I realized, we had so many doors shut in our face that when God opens up a door, it don't look what we think it should look like. We won't even walk through to spread his word. And this sickness has been my way of showing that God is good. Now, every comedy special ends with a great joke that you can always remember. You hear the greats always tell this great joke. I got a joke for you. Y'all gonna remember this. This gonna be a good one. You could tell this one at your job. Right? This gonna be the greatest joke that you ever heard. All y'all here tonight thinking that y'all came to my comedy special, right? But I just really brought y'all here to tell you how special God is. My name is Thomas Terrell. God bless y'all.